All right. Good morning, everybody. Just working on a Santa. I'm doing a trace over of an image that I badly drew in Procreate, so I can get the general gist of what he looks like. So I'm just doing this with the add point tool mostly. The original drawing was a sketch in Procreate on the old iPad. So I'm just doing a general block out of the shapes. No real shading or anything. I mean, maybe here and there, but most of the time I will kind of avoid that in the beginning until I get to a point where I want to add those in. There we go. We'll try to knock that edge thickness down a little bit, probably 1.5, something like that. I'm going to take that and duplicate that brow, because this is the most smart way, most efficient way of getting that done, is to flip your, duplicate and flip your layers so you don't have to draw them twice. If you can imagine that. That's how I did the original drawing. As you could tell, it's pretty symmetrical. And then, of course, recentering all of my origin points on those layers to where they are centered over those parts. Apparently I hadn't done that in some of these. The recent ones I did this morning. I have so much work to do in so little amount of time that I'm almost embarrassed by it. There's just too much drama in my life, evidently, and it's not something I'm doing well with. Trying to, but keep hearing the cat, but I'm not good at that. Dealing with drama. I think my mustache is too dark of a color, so I'm going to resample the color from, I don't think I want it from the original image. I think I want it from the image. I'm going to leave the eyebrows because I think they are, they should look that color. But I think I'm going to just resample this from the beard for the mustache because it's a bit dark. If you're out there, say hello. I'm just working along here trying to get this done. Like I said, too much stuff going on in my life to be on time, apparently. So let's just go to the right eye. This is just for the external opening shape here. And I'm making this basically the hole that is in the eye. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing my edges here. Points, there we go. Duh. And then I'll come back here. It's hard to see because it's all this is so brightly colored. But there's my eye. We're going to give that the stroke to it, and I'm going to go ahead and make it not a bluish color. I'm just going to make it a white for now. I generally knock this down to a white yellow. Might as well a little bit right here. It just gives the eyeball a little warmer of a color. I'm also going to take down this to maybe around a 1 to start with. It just needs an edge. And then we'll go in and do the eye lines, I guess. Let's just add another layer for those. And a lot of this will be grouped together. At least the eye with the iris and pupil will be. This is pretty much the lines of the eye. It's very hard for me to see here. I'm making a break there, and that one will be a hidden edge. This will be a hidden edge, and then I'll continue that one through. And then I can come in and grab this and turn the stroke on for it, create it, And then I'll go back and, like I said, make those edges hidden. I have to turn this off and on to see where they should be hidden, though, like there and here, I guess. And then you would come back in, of course, and adjust the ends of these. If you don't know much about Moho, I have other tutorials on my page here, hopefully covering what you may or may not know. And some of them are more up to date than others. I kind of feel like I'm needing to refresh all of them all the time because they kind of come and go as Moho gets updated or I get new information of my own. You know, they may not be the most relevant. Okay, so I'm gonna grab that dude and we're going to just create a stroke shape here. Boom. I'm gonna do the other two the same way, and then you can go through and adjust their line widths throughout their lines and so on. I'm going to be doing a lot more tutorials here coming up. A lot of them, obviously, Moho tutorials, but I also want to do some musical stuff and things like that too. It used to be a whole thing that your channel needed to be about one thing. I just don't think that's true anymore. I think there's so many people just trying to do what they do, show what they do, stand out, help, whatever your motivation is. That it kind of, everyone does some of everything now, and I don't think it matters that much. It's cool to go to a page where there's somebody doing one thing, granted, where you're like, oh, I'm going to go here for all my needs of music or, you know, animation or whatever it's going to be. But I think those are just becoming a bit more rare, because people want people to show up, you know, and look at their stuff and interact, or granted, make money off of views or whatever once you get monetized. But I hope I get monetized, but that's just because it's a potential for some money to come in. But I'm not going to change what I do. I wish there was a way to make people watch more stuff, granted. So there's the eye lines, here's the eye, this is the actual outline. So on top of that, I'm going to make a new layer here for the iris. And you can put the iris and pupil together in the same layer, different shapes if you want. I'm just going to come in here and make an actual circle. I don't know why that looks oblong to me. Maybe I'm just seeing the world through an oblong lens, you know? It's a possibility. Let's redo that one because I let go before I had the right size. Something about like that. And I'm going to try to center that enough. And then we're going to go ahead and throw the stroke on the outside of that. And this one now is going to be kind of a blue, because I guess Santa's eyes are blue, or are supposed to be blue. Just going to make them a little less electric, even though they will be still somewhat electric. I'm going to go ahead now and throw on another circle for my pupil. Just like that. Try to get it relatively centered. I'm trying to match where the other, darn it, where the other dots are, points, I should say. All right, and then within that shape, I'm going to need to recreate just the fill. We'll say create, and then we're not going to see it because it needs its color to be changed. And then now when we say okay, it should show up. There we go. And now the weird part is with these layers and his iris all outside his eye, if we take the eye and the iris here and right click and group with selection, when I rename this, I'm going to call this eye right, we can double click on it and set the masking tab, which now exists, to hide all and say okay, and it will go behind. But you see that you saw these weird strokes hanging out here. Oh, Lord. And so all I have to do is go to the bottom layer here and double click on the very bottom layer of it and exclude the strokes. Now this only works if your shape that you want to use to cut out is on the bottom. Just remember that. If I click this display over and turn off GPU caching, you can see all of it together here now. Also, I guess for the eye, I want to center that. Origin, the iris, the same, and the eye itself. And this will just make it a nice contained thing when you select the layer too. You'll see it just boxes around. Just that. Check my eye lines, make sure, yeah, they're not done either. So we'll just go ahead and change their origin to approximately there. And cool. So I will add a shadow of some kind in here. I like to make it a little darker in the eye socket, but well, I might as well do that now. So behind everything in the eye and above the mustache layer, I'm going to add a new vector layer. I'm going to call this eye shadow, which is not about the makeup, but about the shadow of that eye. And I'm going to not use the stroke, just the fill. And I think maybe a little under the brow here and kind of up to the nose-ish area. This could actually be smaller than I'm making it. But something about this area. And we're going to take this, not make it a blue color, but I'm going to select the skin color here. And then I'm going to make it a bit more dark or red. Even maybe like that. Something like this. And I believe we can, this really needs to be behind the nose lines and all that too. But we need to make this either a less opacity, or we could change its blending mode to multiply and then really knock this down to something like that, which works. And I am going to make the eye and eye lines and all this stuff here and eyeshadow. I'm going to put that behind the nose, because that way when we change the head sides, it will flip behind there a little better. And let's see, I'm just going to take my center of those, put it there, and make sure the eye shadows, yeah, that works. And then of course move this point around just to where they make a little more sense for what this shadow of the eye really should be looking like. Maybe something like that. You don't want it too harsh. You can also go in and take that eye shadow in your style panel. Select the shape, of course, first, and give it a effect of a soft edge. And we're gonna have to like kind of turn this down until it just makes some more sense, maybe like that. And now we have this sort of soft shaded eye there. Not bad. Okay, so with that, I'm going to grab the eye lines, the eye, and the eye shadow. Sorry, I'm feeling a little like a cold or something this morning. Allergies, I'm sure. We're going to duplicate all those layers. They're going to come in kind of separate, but all we have to do is move it and move it back, and they will group. Well, maybe they won't. Just move it above something, and they'll group, and then move it back down below that nose bridge. They'll move together. And we're going to take all three of those. I'm going to flip them. That's a weird looking Cyclops eye. And then we're just going to grab it and move it over to where now we have that sort of mirrored version. He looks a little cockeyed. I might have to move those irises in just a little bit on both of them. So before I can do it without it. But so I'm just going to take this iris here, which is the iris and the pupil, and I'm just going to push those a little more inward to feel less creepy. Where's the other? And that eye right too needs to be changed to eye left. Anything that has that right or right to on what's supposed to be left needs to be, of course, changed. Something like that, like this one here too, it needs to be changed to left. You only have to do it on the left. You don't have to go back and redo it on the right one. Go figure. And okay, so there we go. We can even change this one to left. Really need to drink some of this coffee before it gets cold. So the iris is the one here that needs to be bumped in a bit. So I think he looks better a little bit cross-eyed as opposed to googly-eyed, right? No, this is Moho Pro. This is 14.4, the new side quests one. I suggest getting it. I also have the the paid Moho brush pack from them. Absolutely crazy good. You can do this mostly what I'm doing with anything, I believe, at Moho debut or whatever, as far as I know. So, okay. I'm going to do his nose shadow shortly, and let's go ahead and do the hat. I'm going to have to do some sideburns, ears, and hair as well. So much work to do. Let's just do his little hat brim, because no, let's do it right. Let's do his hair. I'm going to just close that up and go back into, where's his head? So this is going to need to be behind the head layer because the ear will cover any edge of this and the sideburn will cover any edge remaining of the head or anything and the ear. So let's go ahead and go to the head layer. We will add a new layer. Things feel a little slow this morning. I don't know why. I think Moho's taking a break. Let's see. Trying to create another layer and it's pausing. Great. This only happens in a live stream. So for whatever reason, Moho does not seem to be wanting to create a new layer. Really weird. Like it won't even come up. There we go. Vector. Okay, and we're going to call this hair back right, because I'm going to separate these into two pieces, of course. Not that you have to, but I think it'd be good for when he does a head turn. Hair's a little weird there, so I'm going to copy this one and flip it, to be honest with you. So even though it says the right, I'm going to use the left side to do this. So I'm just going to kind of start here, try to continue with what's probably going on behind the ear. And I'm using way too many points for what I'm doing, but that's all right. That's my prerogative, said some guy back in the 90s, 80s, 90s. All right, so there we go. And then we'll change the color and whatnot. We're going to add the stroke to it. And I'm just going to steal the color from the beard. Then I'm going to go back and change the these points here to Control P to sharp them. Control P, this one, Control P, this one, Control P. And you could do the same by just clicking on your curvature and then picking this button here, the peak button. But the shortcut's good because it makes it go faster. And then I'm just going to come in with a line or two here to complement that. Now, if that doesn't work, of course, you can always come in to the create shape here and say create stroke, which is really what I wanted. There we go. And that should work for you. All right, I think that's good enough for the moment. I may or may not put another line in there, and I'm going to just sort of not select them all. Let's go ahead and select just the one and peak this one down and thin it out a bit. Perfect. And now I will take this layer and flip it. So, because it's supposed to be the right. If I'm going to take that entire layer, let's give it its origin point to somewhere here. I don't care exactly as long as it's within the shape. And now we'll flip this because, like I said, this one's the right. And just sort of get this in a better spot. It's about right. And if for some reason this doesn't work with my drawing, which it's not, I'm going to go ahead and move these points around. Something feels a bit sluggish. It's kind of worrying me. It looks too that we have this on top of the head, which we don't want. I'm going to fix that right now by just dragging that layer down behind the head. And all is good with it. Now we're going to duplicate it. We're going to rename it left. And then flip it back once I select the layer. And move it back over. I just already on the one for that side. I figure I'd just make it based on the other, and then I need to flip it. All that. How's it going, Sloth Cat? Not bad. Tired, burnt. Over drama, over many things. So yeah, that's how. Okay, so with that, we need to make a couple ear layers. Let's go ahead and get him knocked out. So I'm going to say ear right. Probably should be using ear left again because it just looks better. I'm going to make the El Shapo. That's Spanish, I believe, for the shape. El Shapo. Those of you who speak Spanish or live where I do know that's not true. And I'm going to throw in the stroke. We're going to grab the color from, somewhere on his face. And we're going to continue with our create points. So I'm just going to put an extra line in here. Something along those lines, no pun intended. And then go to the create shape on this line and do a stroke and create shape. Now just thin out our edges a little here on these. Maybe on that one, but definitely on this one. Something like that. Okay, and I'm going to do the sideburn and then flip both of those over to the other side. Man, I got some congestion today. So above the head layer, I'm just going to click on the head layer, create another vector, and call this sideburn. The allergies are strong today. I am not a fan. My eyes were burning when I woke up. I don't know if there's any fires in the area or Mount Kiliomama or something like that has erupted. I have no idea. Alright, so with that, select it. Make sure we are not on... I think I have one of these set to soft still on the style. Yeah, see that soft edge? We don't want that. In fact, I'm going to turn that off now. And then this will be selected from the beard or mustache or whatever. Add a stroke back on it. And we can knock this down to at least 2. And let me see. My eyes. I think the hair has the soft edge still turned on it. So I'm just going to go to hair back left. Select it. It's the wrong one. Select it. And still soft edge. We don't want that. We don't want it on the other one as well. I think that might be why there's a little sluggishness. It's just because there's some effects on here. Let me turn off any effects and see if it's a little less sluggish. Yes and no. It's the transparency, that's the softness. Alright, so above everything now, because it needs to be above his eyebrows and everything, I'm going to create another layer. I'm going to call this, I think I'm going to do just in the one layer. It's fine. Hat brim. And, man, I wish I could explain how much work I have to do within a few days. So much left to this thing. And with the drama and anything else that's happened, it seems like we've all been dealing with it. I'm quite a bit behind. And it has to go out on the 5th, I guess. So this has to be done by the 3rd. So any changes can be made, etc. I don't like to work like this where I'm pressured myself to the point of, just feeling like I'm coasting down the hill in a car where the steering has gone out and I'm just, doing the Jesus take the wheel moment. It's not how I like to work at all. But it feels a bit like that right now. Trusting in the universe to know that that I made the right decisions about what to do, when and where and how, and hopefully that's all true at this point. It's kind of like life, though, I guess. I could say that about a lot of things. Sometimes I say, please take the wheel. Please. I don't want to be in charge today because I am not going to make the right decisions. Been trying to decide on a couple of crazy ideas, like if you can get this one, if anybody's still watching. I always had this dream of being an Imagineer. I know a lot of people did. I had a lot of potential, possibility of possibly being one. I did some of everything. And then I kind of abandoned it. I got married and I, started doing more magic professionally and music, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's kind of funny because I've been lately sort of bobbing around trying to figure out what's my next step? What am I doing now? I've got some movies I could do. I got some other stuff, I've always done that. And I thought maybe I'll try to apply to them again. Not that I applied to them before. Some other places, of course, and other places I have worked. But I was like, why not give it a go? The worst they can say is no. And it's been kind of this weird sort of torturing myself thought, almost to the point where I just don't want to think about it anymore because I'm sitting here saying, well, what if I'm not good enough? What if this? And I'm doing the stupid what if game that doesn't count for anything because, well, what if you just never did it and never knew? But that sounds good. But there's this weird thing that goes on in your head, I guess, where I feel tortured constantly about it. Let's see. Right and ear right. We're going to duplicate those and oh no, we already got the hair back. So we need the ear and the sideburn. We're going to duplicate those. Yeah, so I've been throwing that idea around my mind like, I don't even know why. I'm inspired by a video online, and I don't have my electronic chops really at this point anymore. What is this? The left, yeah. And I can't even remember what left and right is. Then there's that whole thing. I had that stroke, and then so I wonder, do I have my wits about me enough to even do something like that? And who knows? And of course, I'm in a pretty non-supportive environment, so that doesn't help my situation either. But it's also one of the reasons why I want to do something very much like that. Just get away from all the things I don't like and do something I just feel good about. Watching people do something and enjoy it as much as they do really is inspirational. Always has been to me. It's why I wanted to work for Weta or anybody else, and that's That's one of those things that may just will probably just be a dream forever. But almost did, and then almost worked on the Dark Crystal. Was hired to do it and everything. And had long conversations, and it was all good. And then they just changed their mind for no reason. A lot of my ideas wound up in the series, but I guess they legally, I found out, can do that because I sent them a bunch of ideas to get hired. I'm not angry. I just, it's a little burnt. I just want something to work out at this point, I guess. All right, so let's go back to the hat brim, and right behind it, so on top of that, but behind that, we're going to add the hat, well, the hat shape itself, I guess. Yeah, I just want to be doing something cool, and what I consider great and worthy or worthwhile, or I like what I do, but it's really not paying the bills like I would like it, and it's not regular enough work at this point to kind of get the things I need to get to do the other things I want to do, and blah blah blah. And and I ask myself the question a lot: what would you be doing if you had any choice, anything in the world? And that's the question I'm trying to answer right now. I would be being creative. I could be a creative director of something that would be excellent, I think. But I would still have to have my hands fully involved in whatever is being created. I couldn't just sit and point my fingers at people to be creative. Not at all. That's not me. So there's that. But I'm trying to just ask myself the question, and it's a weird, very daunting question. Well, what do you want to do? If you had no limits, what would you do? And there's a weird thing I've never faced before kind of comes up, and I know, but I don't, I know. I think I have answers, but then is it something I have to pick that I don't get any other choice later? Do I have to commit to it and do it forever? Or is it something, if you could do anything that right now, what would you do right now? Then that changes things a lot. So, I don't know. Doing a lot of that stuff, and it's not, I convince myself sometimes it's depression, but it's not. I'm really trying to honestly sort out, what is it I need to be doing right now? That's a really hard thing for me to do at the moment for some reason. I think it's just because of everything that's happened. I mean, I was almost eaten by Mormon cannibals. It's kind of a joke, kind of not. I've been through a lot. I had the stroke, I lost all my teeth. Embarrassing to say, but I did. And I have teeth, but these are not my own, really. And so on and so on. All within 2-3 years. And so much more. People dying, blah, 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 blah. Lost a major job. Got hired by Ensign again, and then was let go. It feels like trauma, but I don't know what it's not, it's just me not knowing exactly where I'm supposed to be, I guess, or something, or I can't explain it, can't explain it really. Who am I supposed to be around? Who am I supposed to be with? What am I supposed to be doing? All those questions are very consuming sometimes. And living in a small town at this point where there's not a lot of opportunities popping up is not what I'm used to. It's maddening, actually. And I'm wanting to move back to a place Well, there are a lot more opportunities. I mean, I talked to a buddy of mine from Lord of the Rings, and believe it or not, nope, nobody's handing out jobs, not even when you know somebody. And yeah, I thought maybe that would lead to something, and it hasn't. I don't like to use people I consider friends for work per se, but I mean, if they offer, great. But also, you know, I would move there. I would move with a paid move. I would move back to Albuquerque if I could sort of way to do that. It just feels strangely so hard to do, which it never did before, but now it does. Yeah, this looks like David Harbour in that Killer Santa movie or whatever he was in. That's funny. Anyway, this is all head stuff. Let me see where so this is going to be hat. This is going to be mostly head stuff. I don't know if I want to group it yet. Obviously the hair back I can't group with the head. I'm just going to kind of leave those out, but I am going to put the body underneath here, which you have to create it on top and then move it, because you can't create it under a layer you've got selected. It's got to be created on top of one. But this is going to be, let's just go with torso, and then I will do the fur after the fact, I guess. So this one's going to be a pretty big thing, and it's kind of like more of the coat, but I don't think I want it so large. I think I made his body a little too big when I was doing this, so I'm just going to sort of do like this. I'm going to make the top half, and then I'll come back and make the bottom of it. I'm going to have to add some more points in here, of course, so that it can be manipulated with the bones and whatnot, but I don't know why everything feels like it's going so slow. It's probably because this image is so big over here. Probably. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this other image, because it is kind of a resolution dependent situation here. Let's just get rid of this one, because it's having to, if it's got a lot of, not that one, if it's got a lot of high resolution image in here, it's got to display it somehow, and it uses a lot of RAM, video RAM and whatnot. So let's just get rid of that layer, and then, I don't know, maybe things will speed up, who knows. Back to the body. Looks like it's moving a little bit faster, but this body layer, I'm going to, now I can steal hair. I can steal color from the hat. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm supposed to have some guys coming down to work on a music video soon. I don't know if they're actually going to, sadly, or if I'm gonna be able to get done in time what I need to. We'll see. It'd be cool if they did, though. Yeah, I feel that way 100%, man. Like, I need something almost from the outside, you know, the force. I'm going to keep going this way until I'm acted on by an outside force. I need something to come along and just knock me out of this loop. Not in a bad way, hopefully, but yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you. That's exactly where I'm at, and something needs to change. You know, I'll take a lot of different somethings to just to kick that into overdrive at this point. Just adding a few extra points here, just for the sake of when we animate this, it's going to need the points to point buying to, I guess. No, I'm burnt. I'm tired of being burnt, etc. I guess that's what I mean. Wake up and it just feels like I'm in this Groundhog Day. And it's not that that's a major problem. It's just there's a number of reasons. All right, so let's go back and get the chest. So the coat for chest. I'm just gonna make that note for myself, I guess, and then make one side of it. And this is going really sluggishly. Do not know why, but it of course worries me that there's going to be a CRASH. There you go. It could be because I'm displaying this whole image at the same time, which is pretty high resolution. I guess the Santa I drew behind it, probably drew it on a very large canvas, not realizing and seeing now the closer I get, the faster it goes, and that explains exactly the case, that's exactly the case. So the image that I have as my reference is just so big that it's chugging probably to display it all the way it is while I'm doing all the stuff I'm doing. So we're just adding more points. And just going to make this go around here so I'm not, when I see that line there, it's just not going to be confusing me. And now I'm going to select that and select some white from the beard. And I might make this a bit different of a color of white, maybe just a little brighter or something, to where the hair and the fur are a little different from each other. Turn that stroke, and there we go. Alright, so obviously these lines here will be hidden. There we go. And then I can continue with this little chunk. So I'm going to say for belly. So, yeah. And then I have to listen to a stupid cat whine and complain all the time. This cat is never happy, no matter what I do. Feed me, pet me, don't pet me. Clean my litter box. Don't touch my stuff. Such is the nature of... I can't even say that. Yeah. So let's just get rid of these. Or, actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fur for the belly of the coat and put it behind the collar. That way we just don't get that line at all, and it's got a perfect meet. And then I can sort of make a line from here that is not connecting for the little separation between the two halves. Something like this. Then I'll take the line and go with stroke and create the shape. The only thing is that's going to be behind that. So I might want to take this line at least. Put this on the fur chest layer. Actually, it needs to be cut, so edit, cut. Why is that not cutting? Okay, things are being weird. Let me see if I can now paste it here. There we go. That way it's on that, it doesn't get affected by the other, and if I want to, I can go ahead and extend this out farther. Like so. I'm going to delete its shape that it made, and now as long as these are the same, which it looks like they are, I can go ahead and recreate it. If you didn't know you could do that, that's the way. Just get rid of the shape, leave the line, recreate the shape. Sometimes they get stuck in that weird place. So I think that works for that upper portion. Gonna need to make these and still probably make them possibly part of the torso, but maybe not. If I do these separately and connect those to the pelvis, that would work much better. That way the bones of the chest only affect this top portion. That'd be smart. You gotta be practical, you know? So I'm gonna turn on this GPU caching again, and hopefully it will kind of make this move a little faster. I'm gonna go ahead here now. I say that phrase a lot, and I'm gonna add the belt. I'm just gonna do it in one piece as far as the black part, and then I'll come back and I'll make these. Should I do them left and right? Depends on if he's gonna turn. I don't think he's gonna turn, but I'm gonna go ahead and do left and right anyway, because it is possible that he will. I know he'll be in static positions turned. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and here and just get these done. This will be the left. And let's go ahead. Why do I say go ahead so much? And click on stroke and make this kind of a blacky gray. I don't want to go full black with it though, because it just will look like a hole in the screen basically. So I think that's fine. And now I'm going to adjust the curvature here of these. I have to deselect the points and then come in and select just the ones you want to do. If you didn't know that, you cannot select your curvature tool and use it if you have multiple points selected. I found that out just recently, actually, that actually is a thing. I did find it out on my own, but if you're dealing with that, that's why. Cat, please stop. Okay, be quiet. Drama. All right, so this is going to be belt right. We'll get the highlights and stuff later. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that and rename it as belt left. Grab the layer, which probably is not oriented correctly, so I'm going to do the other one as well while I'm here. I'm going to go grab belt left layer, flip, and then move it over to the other side there behind the belt buckle, just like this one is. And probably make another layer for the buckle, just so I have more control as to where those things are at. All right, so what are you working on, Slothcat? What have you been working on lately? I see Greg online once in a while doing stuff, but I've not been able to really focus on commenting, following, and so forth for him as well either. We talked about he was going to come out and visit at some point. I wasn't sure how serious he was about it, but I thought that would have been pretty cool. But I know he was dealing with a lot of stuff at home and whatnot. Glad to hear that all worked out. Last I knew. All right, so we have this. I'm going to delete the shape of this buckle though and keep the lines, because I'm going to create another line for the internal of it so that we can make this buckle have that opening. Not that it needs an opening. I think in 3D, so unfortunately sometimes it's kind of hard to separate. I keep thinking this is an actual object. It needs to be behind this one, and this one needs to, you know, move around this one. Those things aren't true in 2D. You just make something that looks like that. Sometimes I forget, you know, that's the way it works in 2D, because I'm expecting to have to manipulate a shape as though it's an object, and yeah, it's not necessarily the case. All right, so once again, I've made this colored in shape. I'm going to delete it, so I have just the lines here. I'm going to shift select the other lines here, and with our create shape tool, this is going to be both, and we're going to say create shape, and it's going to make just this one now. Cool, right? And then that needs to be, I think it's a silver buckle. It's not a gold one. We're going to make that kind of a light gray, not as light as the white-ish stuff, the fur, but, you know, kind of like that. This needs a filler in here. Now you can go back, and I believe I could use another layer behind that, be the easiest thing to do, but I think you could fill that other end, but I don't know if that's the case. Like if I just select the inner and say just use fill and go like this, I think that did work, so cool. But now I need to, of course, change the color to the belt color, and then there we go. Perfect. All right, so yeah, coming along. I can tell that that's got to be what the case with that image being in the back, because when I zoom out and see the whole thing, it gets very sluggish. But then again, it feels sluggish still even here. When you're looking at the whole thing, I don't know. Who knows? Alrighty, so he's coming along, looking pretty good, I think. Nice, nice, very cool. Yeah, kind of wish that I could just pick one of my projects and dive headlong into it. That would make me pretty happy, but I just don't know what to pick at this point, and because I'm not around a lot of other folks, I don't get a lot of that kind of not input, but, you know, enthusiasm and participation, and that means the live action stuff that I was doing is going to be difficult if people can't be a part of it, and even though some say they do, and then they don't show up, and then the ones that do really want to aren't actors per se, and it makes that a little difficult. And also, if I pick, you know, something animated I want to do, I always want a team, and I can't find one here, and people even showing up to learn, it's not going to happen. And then they'd have to have their own system and blah, 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 and there's too much to teach that way. But also, I don't want to do it alone, per se. I could, but it's rough doing it alone. It just is, because you feel a little, you know, stranded out on the ice doing your thing. And like they stationed you in Siberia. But I could do that, and I've got some projects I really could dive into that way. I just go through this other thing too, where I'm like, well, am I making the wrong choice? Am I picking the wrong thing? Am I doing the thing that's not gonna, you know, am I gonna regret picking this because now that would have really done something, and all the while wasting lots of time, you know, that I could have been just doing stuff. So I had this idea about Disney, and I don't even know if I'm worthy on any level to do something like that, you know, at this point. I know what I'm capable of, but I get kind of in this mode of thinking I'm not capable of it, because if the people in your general circle don't believe that you're probably capable of it. And I used to say, well, then convince them and show them, but I'm at a point where I kind of need that group support, I guess, and I just don't have a a support group like that. So, it's probably not going to be able to do that for me at the moment. So I had to decide on my own just to do it or not do it, or work on one of my own projects and full headlong into that or not. Who knows? I don't know anymore which way to go. So frustrating, and and the older you get, the more time you worry about running out of, and fun stuff like that, possibly. And not that I think I'm going anywhere anytime soon, but unless I decide to, this is going to be arm upper right. So yeah, anyway, that's dealing with way too many things mentally, for sure. I just get out of my own head. I'd probably be a superpower, but I think that's everybody's worst enemy, honestly. All right, so I think that hair back probably could go to maybe a 5, 6. Still looks quite a bit small, so I'm going to go up to about maybe a 10. Still looks really small. Why is that? I'm going to delete the inner. Delete the shape again. Undo the delete of that shape, and now pick this. There we go. Maybe a 4 or 5. Let's go with 4. So I'm noticing this hair back stuff is just, I think I doubled those somehow. Go up to 4. That looks all right. Really done. All right, so that's the upper arm. I'm going to change the shape a little bit here. Doing this kind of thing. Deleting that point. Oops. So yeah, a little bit of struggling, but we all struggle, I guess. All right, so here I'm now doing the forearm, right? And this really probably needs to be not behind the body. So this one will be above all the fur, above the belt and the buckle, at least. So that if he moves his arm, it can be in front of that. It probably should be in front of the beard, the face, and everything as well. So we're just going to make it. That way he can bring his hand up in front of his face if he wanted to, like eating a cookie. Ho, 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 I'm hilarious. Okay, that's a little Christmas joke, and a Christmas joke for you there. So forearm right, we're going to go ahead and do that. The size of these arms, I think, is a little bit gargantuan, so I'm going to possibly make these a bit smaller when it comes to actually implementing these. I'll change the scale after the fact here, but let's just grab the color from the jacket. Let's go ahead and turn the stroke on for that, and then I'm going to hide these lines. Take a look at this. Okay, that works for me. Now, it is still quite possible that this is going to cause an issue with that upper arm. Why don't you put the upper arm in front as well? I don't know. That's a good question. It seemed like his barrel chest would be in the way. But I think, and you can animate the layer order, so if you turn that on. So I think I'm just going to put the entire arm in the front to start with. Put the forearm above it. And then on this upper arm here, that one should be behind the beard and the fur, though. So let's go ahead and find out where that lies, where the shadows lie. And let's go ahead and say, no, no, no. Just in front of... Guess it really just needed to be in front of the body more than anything. because it won't reach the buckle and the belt and all that. So let's just stick it here. We can put it in front of the hair back because that would make sense. And I think that'll be fine. That way all of this just looks like so. And it should be behind the fur on the chest. So let me fix that. So I think this now, and see that hair back also needs to be behind the body. So let's just grab that down there, and then we'll take the, what was it, the arm upper, and we'll stick that below everything except for the torso. There we go. That's where that should go. And now I suggest doing, and the arms just look too gorilla. So, and that's because these legs are stupidly long too. But we're just gonna go ahead and finish the arm, and then I'll go back and I'll change how that's laid out. So with the arm, let's go back to the forearm here. We're gonna add, not a vector, let's just go ahead and add it into the forearm. So while we're still on that, I'm just gonna float right through here. I'm gonna kind of make this more cloud-like, like the other parts are, because I think I quickly cheaped out on drawing this, you know, to look like the others. I'm not gonna make this as big. Not gonna weld it to that other part. And just do like so. Make sure this is not on soft edge, which for some reason we still are. I'm gonna have to go through and check everything because I just realized there's quite a bit of stuff I think here selected on soft edge. In fact, let me check this part of the forearm. Yep, look at that. It should not be. This could be why things are slowing down. Let me go ahead and change the color of that to match the color of the white of the suit. There we go. Making sure the stroke is on for it as well. I'm gonna have to check, like I said, these shapes though. So let me go find the hat brim. Just gonna have to check. That one's fine. The hat ball is probably fine. I think I changed these already. The hat looks fine. But I know the upper arm might not be. So arm upper. No, that says plain, so that's all good. I think we're okay. I'll have to double check on some stuff though as we go, but I think that just defaulted in a weird way to what it is, to the soft edge. So we'll fix that. Here, I'm gonna make this probably a 3. I think that looks a little better. I'll do the highlights and shadows after I get all this stuff sorted because I don't know exactly what's gonna need to be done for any of that. But I'm gonna put, I'm just gonna do the hand in one go. I'll probably break that up into a thumb maybe, so they can turn, but we'll see. So the hand, I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller to start with. Not much smaller, I guess, but I'm gonna make this kind of a green. We don't have to sample the actual image. Where's my color? Oh, just go here. Go with a green of some kind of a, like that. I don't want this to be like Dayglow colors. It pretty much is already, which I don't care for. I'll have to fix some of that, but tighten some of these things up. I think that's all right for the moment, I guess. I typically want that thumb a bit more round, maybe like that. All right, and I think that's all right. Okay, and then I was like, what do I do next? I need to put the stroke back on it too. Okay, please stop. Miss Cat. I'm going to take the forearm and the hand, and I'm going to go find the upper arm here, control shifting that, or control selecting that. Arm upper right, I'm going to duplicate all of those. And leaving them where they are. I'm not going to move them up or down. I'm just going to go to the layer and click on flip and move that somewhat over to sort of match the other side. I think that's okay. I think the only thing I'm going to have to copy from this back image now is just a shorter bit of that coat thing. So this will be behind the belt, wherever I put those, right here. And I think all of that's a good place to put it. So right behind the belt, I'm going to click on that. Maybe behind those things too, like so above this arm upper right, which also will need to be renamed to arm upper left along with the other pieces. But let's just call this coat, tail, front, right. Can you check for food for her? And then I'm going to make a piece here for it. That comes up to that. I'm going to grab the red from the coat and the stroke. Not that it probably will need it. It'll need it on the edge, but not under where the fur is at. Move a couple of these points around just to make sure they don't go off there. And then this is going to be fur coat tail, right? And then I can draw in this fur. I will have to figure out where this edge is once his arm can be moved or whatever. You know, I can do something about that. I'll do that, and then I will sample color from the sleeve here and throw the stroke on that. So now we'll just take this coattail layers and hope and duplicate those. I'm going to just move this up to here and then back down and grab the layers and flip those over. These obviously need their centers recentered. I think overall that's okay. And then the legs will just be the simple, however I decide to do the legs. Another thing too is the upper arms. If I can find them, I put them arm upper left. These need their lines hidden all the way around. Can't tell. I think that one is shifted out too far, but once again, that'll make sense later. And then gonna need to fix the centers of these. Hair bag, I think I got all those. Coat tail here. Coat tail fur. Just trying to get these to not be wildly centered from somewhere that makes no sense. For chest, the belt, there we go, belt, buckle needs to be here. So if we need to move it from somewhere, that ear should be here. Yeah, no, I would like that. I just got in this frame of mind that I was expecting that to be more than it was, and then there was no interest in. I mean, you guys were doing like programming and all kinds of other stuff, and I'm like, well, that's not something I'm doing at the moment. I was working on a couple of games, but it was in a way, and for a thing, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I felt a little like you guys had your thing, and I should just be doing mine for whatever reason. But if you want to do that, yeah, sure. I'm good with that. I easily feel left out. So, to be honest with you, so that's probably where how that went for me. And it's on nobody but me. It's just kind of where I tend to wind up. Unless I'm somebody running something or the reason why something's happening, and I know I'm kind of in that space. Yeah, I tend to talk myself into believing that, if I disappear, it'll be okay. No, it won't bother anyone if I just go away. Yeah. Let's see, forearm left. So that's kind of what happened before. I just sort of backed off and let you guys do your thing. So. Okay, so he looks a bit like a gorilla to me. I'm going to turn off this back image, and I might even get rid of it. I don't think I need it anymore. So I think I will just delete that. And I will save him, given the horrible, wonderful things that can happen when you don't. I think it's in the midst of saving, so. But yeah, if we do that, I'd be cool with that. Discord's a weird place for me. I use it a lot, I guess, for certain things, but it doesn't feel personal to me in some weird way. I don't know if that's just because I'm using it in a way that I'm using it. And then there's, YouTube is just commenting on each other's videos. I am on Facebook. I use it a lot. I don't know if that would help. We should make a Facebook group, like a private group or something like that. That'd be cool. That's probably the easiest for me. I could even throw that together, but I don't know if that works for everyone else or whatever. His eyes still feel a little overly thin. But then again, it depends on the shot, I guess. Let me see. I'm going to turn off this chest fur part here, so I can see the arms. So arm upper left, we can now start hiding a couple of edges. Yeah, things still feel a little sluggish to me here. And arm upper right. Turn off some edges. Yeah, I think that arm is way out. So arm upper left, I'm going to need to move the entire thing. So forearm and hand are next. Forearm left. And hands 2, I guess. I need to rename those, obviously. So let's move this over layer-wise. I'm just going to try and get this more kind of in line with the shape of the body. Looks a little hunched over now, but it's all right. Let's go back with the upper arm. No, I think with Greg, I just got in a kind of a wishful thinking that I had an automatic friend. I mean, granted, yeah, that could be the case. Just we lived so far away, and I was assuming a lot more of a kind of a stuff was gonna happen because of it. And I was like, cool, awesome, you know, it doesn't matter how far you live away, blah blah blah. And I get all kind of overly excited about something and probably shouldn't be. Let's see. Probably make a pelvis of some kind here. I'm gonna go ahead and save again. This all feels very sluggish to me, so let me swap my screen back here before I do that. Just really quickly. Now you guys can see what I'm seeing and all the wonderful things here, and I'm just gonna close Moho and reopen it. I feel like I have something else going on for some reason that's kind of slowing it all down. So anyway, yeah, I can make a Facebook group if like a private group thing. We can make it like a motivational core group of these people that live in all these different parts. Where do you live, actually? Because I know he's up in Chicago. I'm in New Mexico. Let's open recent. There we go. Now I'll switch this back over. Maybe it will be less sluggish. I don't know. Still feels kind of the same. Don't know why. So I'm going to turn off these effects and whatnot and see if that helps. And it does not. Masking. It's the masking that's slowing it down. Holy Lord. That's a lot of slowdown. Look at that. That's super fast. I turn on the masking. Boop, 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 boop. Wow. I've never seen that happen before. There's not really any masking, I don't think, other than his eyes. Yeah, that's the only masking, so I'm going to leave it off for now. That's quite creepy, though, but I think that'll be fine. The eyes and the mustache layers, I wonder if I have some something weird set on those. I've never had that happen before. These look eye-wise normal. Standard. Nothing on there weird. And the mustache shadow, let's see, mustache, are those included in the mustache? No, but let's find out. Those must be on the beard layer, I think. Beard, mane. I'm gonna go to my, oh, those are the folders. Hang on. Beard mane there, shadow there. Nope. So what layer are those on? That one is. This one, oh, also is. Okay. But those don't say they've got an effect or anything. I'm going to turn off those beard mane just to see when I turn on that masking again if it's going to be wacky. So it is something to do with those beard mane shadows, because that's where they get wacky. Interesting. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to double click in there and look at this. So this says it's fine. This says that's masked, which is normal. I'm going to get rid of those shadows, though, just to see if that's specifically the layers that's whacking this out. I don't know why it would be, They are a little sluggish, but not like they were. I'm going to check the, you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these beard mane pieces out of these groups for now. And hopefully it won't change their scale or anything. Looks fine. Get rid of that group. And then see, yeah, that's like totally is normal now. So something happened with those groupings for the shadow. And it may be group within a group within a group stuff. I don't know. But that seems to be so much better. So cool. Works for me. All right. So for now, I'm just going to start working on what needs to be done. Because size-wise, these arms, he looks like a gorilla. I don't like that. I think we'll just scale. Let's scale the forearms first off because I think he's just looking silly. And then the upper arm, I'll wind up copying and pasting this over to the other side probably. And then the upper left, maybe like that. We'll get the forearm and hand back up there. Obviously the hand's way too big, so we'll move this up there and then get the hand, which we'll rename hand left because I'm breaking my own rules here. There we go. Get that in here, make it a bit smaller as well. I think that looks better. He still has this sort of hunched back, oh, I don't feel so good. But we'll get rid of these. Get rid of this. And get rid of the upper. Oh my gosh, this cat. We got her fixed so she won't do that. Now she does it all the time. Arm upper right. Let's delete that. Okay, so I'm not sure what the deal is, but I'm going to go with arm upper left and the others and just kind of move these over. So it kind of feels like, I think this whole side of his body's too big. Alright, so we'll put that there. I'm going to duplicate these layers again and flip them over. I'm going to grab these two now and move these over. And then the hand, obviously, because it's by itself. That's better, but there's something about the body I'm not digging. So I'm going to turn off this stuff and the uppers. So yeah, I'll make that Facebook group, and then let me know what your name is on Facebook so I can invite you. And I know Greg, so let me see, arm upper. Let's rename those. So this body is not symmetrical. I think that's what's throwing me, to be honest. Let me see, torso. Something like this. Something like that, maybe better. I'll have to duplicate the belt. Left layer. And I'm going to delete the coat tail. This. I didn't rename them properly anyway. Delete that one as well. And I'll reproduce all that. I probably should have made the belly a half as well to have that consistency. Let me see, torso wise. We could do that. So I'm just going to go through and delete all these points and add some center points just to kind of hold the line. I'm going to have to do enough of them that's where I'm going to put some bones in here. It's not going to be an issue. And then let's put this as torso right. Whoops, I did not mean to render that. Looks alright. But I need to name that torso right. And then duplicate it. Name it immediately, like I tell everyone else. Torso left. Grab the layer. Flippity jippity. And now it'll be even on both sides, but I do realize I think now my fur is off, but I'm just going to scoot this over to look similar. Then we'll take our belt and duplicate that, like I said. Belt, duplicate, left. Flip this, and flip this. I'm not sure why that's not meeting the same, but that's okay. Something like that. And then the furry coattail and coattail front. We will duplicate those. Flip those. Make sure it's essentially the same height. And you can see this is a weird issue here. Why would this be so much more wide? You know? I don't know, that doesn't seem right to me. Delete. What have I done? I know this all kind of goes off to one side a little bit. This seems ridiculous. So I'm just going to do one piece at a time. Duplicate. Call this left. Flip it. Try to find the center. I can already tell you that is not, but I'm going to do that. And then we're going to go here. Duplicate that. Flip it. You can see this is just, I guess it works. It's trying to go right to that edge, but that's all right. I can easily just magnet those out of the way. Like that. Okay. That works for me. Okay. Of course, that needs to be labeled left. And coattail R, L, R, L, R. Okay, so I think that's primarily good, pretty much. We're going to, it's Stumpy Santa. Yeah, just let me know, Slothcat, what your name is on Facebook. And that way I can send you an advite. Alright, I think he looks better overall. Yeah, that's fine. I really got to get this done. I can't screw around with this. This is literally for like a guy who's going to be used in 3 shots, and they're all like 2-second shots. So, I mean, this is not, it's too much work for what he's going to be doing at this point. So I need to get on the ball. The fur coat, I think these might be able to be, kind of want to combine them, but I don't know yet. They will be combined, but I just don't know if I want to do it yet. Right above here, I'm going to go ahead and add another layer for my pelvis. This guy also still needs to be fully rigged. What do you call it? Not only fully rigged, but expressions, everything. Controls. I'm just going to put leg right, because I don't think he needs a pelvis. So we'll just do this for now. I don't know how much of his legs we'll ever see. I imagine him squatting down by the baby Jesus. They want that. Seems a little out of place for me, but it's not my video. Alright, so add that. Maybe knock this up to 4. Duplicate this. Change it to leg L. Select it, flip it. That works for me. Try and get the, the cinters back here. Alright, so there you go. He really should have some shading, even though I don't want to do it. Beard mane, L, beard mane. I think this needs to be done on a shot by shot basis because sometimes the light's coming from the left and the right and so on. Granted, he could be mirrored, I guess, because it's just a matter of flipping the hat. So that probably works. Beard mane right, though. I'm going to go ahead and do my shadow there. Vector, let's call this shadow. Because I'm going to group it anyway. It doesn't matter that it's named shadow, and then it will continue to be named that later on. Once it's grouped, though, it won't matter what it's named. We will put this here. We will snag the white color. And then I'm going to grab, then grab the white color. Then I'm just going to go to the layer and make it a multiply so that it will automatically be darker, like that. Then we're going to grab it and the beard mane right, and we will group those together. Hopefully without problems. I'm going to call this beard mane right, as it was within that group. Now I can go to masking and hide all, and of course go into the bottom layer of it and get rid of any exclude strokes, which seems to be already selected, so that's good to go. Works for me for that beard mane right. We could go in and break that line up a little bit. That's a matter of taste, I suppose. Alright, so good enough. That can be adjusted later if necessary. The body needs some shading. These are going to be my forearm right. I would say get one back, at least for the motivational group, if you wouldn't mind, because that's going to be the easiest, and their groups are actually, it's easy to manage and do and all that kind of stuff. Stay away from the news feed. Alright, so I'm going to add a shadow layer to this one. I'm going to need to eat something soon. I'm starting to feel woozy. I'll get on that shortly. Alright, and then grab the red color, decide on my shadow color, something like that. Cool, and then I can take both of those, group Call this forearm right. And mask, hide all. Then on the bottom layer, mask, exclude strokes, okay. And not sure why that's coming over that. I guess because the shape for that is probably lower. So I'm just going to take this and draw raise to front. Nope. Why is that the case? Not sure. Not sure. That should be in the front. Let's take the shadow and lower it back maybe. Draw, lower to back. Did not fix it either. I wonder if it's set to multiply. Nope. We'll say okay. Let's see. This is weird. Forearm. I mean, it has that separate shape, but it is not respecting the layering. Draw. Raise to front. But still no. Huh. It is filled in. Double check this layer, make sure that it's all normal. I don't know, that is starting to bug, so I'm gonna probably cut that and paste it back on as another layer, because I don't know why this would be happening. That's very strange. Oh, I do, because the forearm, the shadow's above everything, that's why. So yeah, I'll have to do that. So we'll collect this forearm layer, take this, copy it or cut it, paste it back on as a new layer above the shadow. Let's say we call it the cuff above the shadow, and then can take that, put it here. Why is it doing that? Oh, because of masking. So we just won't mask this particular layer, and we're good to go. Okay, that works, because it'll have to have its own shading anyway. So we're going to take these two now, group. So this is going to be called, all right, let's take these out of the group, I think. Or at least just this one out of the group. That'll be the same thing. Yep. And now we can close that. This one will have its own shadow. And then that will be essentially like this. And then I can grab that, make it the darker version, or just make it a multiply, which will give me the color I'm looking for. And then I could take the two, group them, call this cuff right, and then turn on my masking for it. And then probably don't need to do the other, but I'm going to do it just for the simple sake, or the fact that that should be like that. All right, that works for me. Cool. So now we need one for the upper arm, so forth and so on. So this hand L2 is actually going to be called hand right. Not gonna worry about that just yet. Need the upper though. We'll just go ahead and do the upper arm, and do a shadow for it. Upper right. They get discombobulated when I go and add and remove stuff, so, or duplicate, flip. So now we're going to add in another vector layer. This one will be shadow. And that one, of course, will be considered a multiply. And then I can just do the thing for it. And then we can group it. Yeah, masking takes a lot of effort. So let's see. Upper right. We will throw the masking, and the masking might be that way because I'm using multiply layers. Maybe. Because that seems to get real sluggish, so I'm going to check that. Exclude strokes. I mean, it takes forever. Look at that. So if I turn on off the masking, it moves very good and fast. I think it's possible. No. So if that's the case, it could be, like I said, the multiply scenario. So I'm going to go and change this to normal, just real quick, on that beard layer as well, and on the forearm layer. So if we check the forearm layer here, it's going to be a multiply. That's a normal, actually. So if we change the shadow, actually, that's the one. It says normal too. Surprising. The arm cuff will have the multiply. Just wondering if the multiply is why it gets weird. So let's say beard, main, and we'll take that and make that, oh sorry, a standard, and see now if it, yep, that's what it is the multiply. Okay, cool, not a problem, because I will just take it and change the colors. Well, let me double check that. I could be wrong because I didn't turn the masking back on. Nope, that's not it, because it's still sluggish. So it's just masking, I guess, in general. So I'm going to undo some of that. Do I have anything else? I don't think so. Nothing's off. What's the other? Okay, I think that's fine, and then I'll just turn masking off when I want things to work better. So it's not even the effects. It's the masking, which is really weird to me. No clue. Alright, so I'll throw on a hat shadow now. And that will be, can do that as multiply, because that obviously does not affect how I thought it did. I'm just going to go like this, something. I think this arm is the wrong color, because I think it's still using the the whatever. So what I'm going to do for the arm, so I'm real smart, that would be the upper right shadow is selected, and just, yeah, it's using that light blue. It needs to be using that. Oops. Yeah, that should be correct, but it looks absolutely wrong. And it's probably because the opacity now. So the shadow, where the shadows lie, is wrong. So let's just pull that back to where it looks somewhat like the arm should. And then I'll change the arm too. The hat now needs it, and the forearm. So I had this as a solid color is why. So just do this, grab this to multiply, and then I'll change the multiply. I don't know why it's doing everything. And then I'll change the opacity to match that as well. I think this is a graphic error is what's going on here, which is really maddening. Shadow, opacity to match. Okay, something's up. We'll grab the forearm. I'm going to copy its color. Go back to the shadow. Paste its color. Is what that should be. But I'm getting... That's correct, but it's duplicated is why. Yeah. I don't think multiply is a good method. So we'll grab the layer and make it normal for all these. And also make these at 100. This is a nightmare. 100. And then sample its color. Make it a shadow color, like so. That way these don't have any differentiation. I'll worry about the masking after the fact. The upper arm is the other piece now, and then the hat. So arm upper shadow. We're going to make it normal. There's no reason to have it multiply. There's nothing that needs to be showing through it. And we'll also make it 100%. And then the color needs to be the color of this one. And then the hat. Obviously none of my masking is turned on. But the hat layer shadow needs to not be multiplied. And needs to be the same color. I'm getting lost. I need to eat something, I guess. Needs to be the same color as this. That will work once the other is turned on. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, that's because that one's overlapping. So once again, let me turn on, just for the heck of it, the cuff of this one. And within the shadow, this one can be at 100, and this one could be normal. And then we can change its color to be darker enough, like that. And the masking will take care of that once it's on. So that will be there. Yep. Okay, so now when we turn on masking, you'll see everything is perfectly fine. Just sluggish because of ye old masking. And I might have something somehow running in the background. It might be because of OBS. It's always possible. Cool. All right. Well, like I said, try to get a Facebook if you can. Why is the masking? There we go. Cool. And we can start that group chat. I'll get with Greg and see about doing exactly the same thing. I'm going to look at my eye shadows here and see about turning off their what you call it as well. And see if that makes a difference. I don't think so, because we've already done that by turning it off here. I think that makes those turn off, does it not? That's the opacity, though. That's not the... I think that is just... Yeah, so it's not about the styles and stuff. We can turn that off. See if that helps anything. I'm just going to select it, plain. The other... Select this one and go with plain for now. I don't think that's really going to make a difference, but it's fine. Okay, so we'll do face shadows and all the junk. Hopefully we won't crash, but cool. I'm going to save him. I need to eat something before I fall down. And I'll talk to you guys later, but cool. All right. Have a good one, guys, and talk to you later.